This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff and a full barn.
Mm,
Ding, 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 ding.
Yay.
Wow. Of
Sorry, I was reading Harbaugh news.
course
What
you
a
were.
what a
yeah, you
moron.
would about your buddy.
What a
Yeah.
moron.
Jim's role model. Today is Monday, August 26th, and there has been much jubilation. There has been much betting, and there's been much excitement in the air of the weekend as college football and high school football started.
Indeed.
I just set you guys up to say something exciting, and you just let Nate deadpan
I can't
it.
be the man with all the energy. Let Nate
You literally almost have zero.
let
I
Nate
haven't made
deliver
a
a
lot
little
of
bit.
barnyard noises.
Do you realize what you just said, Jim? Let Nate deliver the excitement.
Yeah, let him rise to the occasion one time. Bring some
Listen,
energy, Nate.
He is
listen.
the least exciting person.
My energy today is zapped after doing 3 games in 97-degree heat on brand new turf.
That sounds ridiculous.
So is that over on the stadium at the stadium?
Yes.
Yo, God bless you. I remember like summer soccer practices on turf. It's not like brand new and extra hot. And your
Mhm.
feet get so hot it felt like they were actually on fire. You were gonna die.
Yeah, I think they said some kids' cleats, like the bottom of them, were starting to melt.
Yeah, it's not going to get any better this week.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. We'll put a disclaimer on this episode, at least for this week. We will not be getting heavily intoxicated like Pat McAfee in Dublin.
If I didn't
No,
know
I think
the
we need
people
to
wanted it, I would have made it happen.
I'll say we need to do an episode like that.
It wouldn't be my first episode drunk, and it would not have been my last.
I have chosen to do a dry September.
Oh, okay.
Good thing it's not September yet.
I
That's
know.
true. It is August. I was just gonna be proud of Jim, but then I realized, why would you do it right when college football starts?
Yeah, this seems like a terrible
buddy
idea.
of mine and I have challenged ourselves. We're going to go 30 days starting September 1st.
Well, Alex, Ohio State doesn't play any.
Are you gonna get a chip at that point?
I hope so. Something's got to come from
Alex,
it.
Ohio State doesn't play anybody worth a shit in September anyway.
That's true. That's why he said we have to do it now. We have to get it. If we're gonna do this, it's gotta be now.
Is there going to be an issue if Ohio State happens to lose one of these games, Jim?
No, I mean, not with my sobriety. I'm going to make it 30 days. That's the plan.
I got you. I got your back. I'm proud of you. Here at Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, we like to drink, but we don't,
We also support
we don't force it on people.
drying out a little bit.
It's not happening. I will not make it through the month of September.
That's fine.
This week we've finished our breakdown of our college football conferences. We did the Big 12, followed by the Big 10. This week brings just one breakdown, this time of an NFL division. Nate's Buccaneers in the NFC South.
Is this the division like nobody really pays attention? Yeah, this is the division nobody really pays attention to.
Nate,
Yeah, it's the division that's kind of going downhill.
that's true.
Nate, as far as fan bases go,
well, I mean, locally, you're not going to find a lot of people that are fans of these teams
Right.
up.
Right. All right.
Nate did have his first high school football regular season game this past Friday. Nate, how did that go? Any calls of note? Did you hit anybody with any flags? Anything cool happen?
So we actually had a really good game. It was 13-zip at the half and ended up being a 21-19 final. We had a face mask on the quarterback as time expired. So the team got one untimed down. And last play of the game, we had a Hail Mary intercepted in the end zone.
All right. That is a pretty exciting game.
Yeah, definitely got the outcome we expected based off the other team's performance last season. But it definitely shows that they either, A, just don't have the same team as last year, or B, severely underestimated their opponent.
Awesome. You have any upcoming big games, big matchups?
I wouldn't call it a big matchup this Friday, but it's like I guess you can call it a somewhat local rivalry. This past week was definitely a rivalry game, but I wouldn't consider this one a rivalry game, but we'll see how it goes. Both of these teams, though, I do have them again later in the season.
Good. The podcast Fantasy Football League Drafter of the Weekend. And there were multiple people missing in action in their draft, including me.
Let's take a vote on the show. Who was worried about Muff's location? It was me.
I was
Alex
I mean,
waited. Alex waited approximately 40 minutes to ask me if I was okay, though.
Well, I kept telling Bruce, I'm sure it's fine. I'll just call him after. I'm sure it's fine. I'll call him after. And then I texted you, and then you didn't answer me. And I'm like, should I call him now? And Bruce is like, you might need to call him. And my stepdad is just sitting there, like, hyping me up that Muff's dead. And then finally, Muff's like, why would I not be alive? And I was like, well, oh, Muff.
And as I was responding, I was like, oh, shit. Fantasy football draft. On my calendar. Didn't get the push notification. All bad.
Oh, and also you were sending pictures of the meats you were smoking, so I just assumed you were out smoking meats.
Well, that's what I
said-
said. I was like, and then I was like, what if there was a terrible grill fire and Muff burned up and died?
I just
Why
figured
do
he
I
had
get-
it set to auto draft. Like the man's Rain Man, so like he probably
Yeah.
already had us all figured out.
That
Yeah.
was the beginning of that was my first thought, and that's why I waited a bit. I'm like, maybe he went through and made like a preset auto
Yeah.
draft thing.
What was the draft pick that made you think differently, though?
when you drafted a defensive player? I
Yep.
was like,
Yeah, and a pretty
Like,
shitty one,
Muff
all
did.
said and done, be honest with you.
well, because for a while it was like, okay, that's good. All right, makes sense. And I was like, well,
Yeah. But
That did throw everything off.
yeah, there was some controversy in the Constant household. We're gonna leave it at that.
No, I'll bring it up for the little
No.
listener.
No,
no,
no.
no.
No, you
Run,
are not.
run,
No,
run,
you are
run,
not.
run, run,
Can we
run.
please mute him? Is there a way to mute him? Please, let's move on.
So
We'll
we
just
did
make
my
it
family.
make it quick, Jim.
No, she's still standing right here. Go ahead. She's
I'm
gonna
just gonna
jump
say
on.
Harrison Butker was drafted and then released immediately.
He was released immediately. It was an error, and then she fixed it.
That's it.
That's it.
But-
That's-
But who out of the group got an A+ on their drafting?
you did, Sam. Good job. Let's see how it ends at the
Honestly,
end.
yes, I think that was an important thing I was going to highlight is that if you look at our preseason predictions, it states that Sam will come out on top.
Well, we'll see.
TBD. Always TBD in the NFL draft and the
Guys are
fantasy
gonna
football draft.
when I'm the one winning.
Okay,
We'll see.
keep
We'll
that
see.
energy. Keep that energy. As always, thanks to everybody interacting with our social content at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, view, poke, like, tickle.
Hit the bell on.
Ding ding.
Shout out to any new listeners as we get into the football season. And thanks for everyone that's interacting with our comparison graphics, this or that, and the polls on the Insta. We had this past week, I believe Ohio State had the highest number of votes to win the Big Ten, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing for
No,
Jim
I don't
and
like
Ohio
that.
State
Not a fan.
fans.
Not a fan.
Was
I voted
curious.
Ohio State too, but it was like, oh, Ohio State clicked. Oh, what did I do? No.
It was a close one too, Jim. You may have been a deciding vote.
Again, trigger happy in the Constant household here.
Remember that. Which brings us into football news. That's right, we have football news, including meaningful football action. College football week 0. Started with a noon Eastern kick in Georgia Tech taking on number 10 Florida State, and it did not disappoint, including a long
Oh, it
field goal.
disappointed. It disappointed.
In your betting world, I understand, but the
Yeah.
game was not disappointing. Long field goal to end the first half. Great back and forth action throughout the game, and a comeback win by the underdog as we have our first top 10 upset of the season with Georgia Tech winning 24-21 thanks to a last second field goal, just as any game in the land of football should end. What are our takeaways from game 1 of the college football season in Dublin?
I found myself like, was Florida State jet lagged? Were they not prepared? They have the talent. It was obvious that their talent was there, but they looked very underwhelming. Like they didn't have their shit together.
To me, it looked like Georgia Tech came, like Florida State looked like they came assuming they would win, and Georgia Tech came looking
Yeah.
like they wanted to upset someone on a huge stage.
I
Like the
don't know if that's true, but I'll go with that. That sounds as good as argument as any.
Like that was the energy vibe I got when you say like it looked like their talent was there, but there just was something missing.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to, they didn't have the same get up and go as Georgia Tech did.
But Georgia Tech didn't look like world beaters either. You know what I
No.
mean?
No, Georgia Tech brought the physicality
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
yes.
because all they were talking about from like when I got home from my game on Saturday was, oh, they got this transfer in, they got this transfer in, blah blah blah. But then DJ, whatever you want to pronounce his last name as, played like DJ, whatever you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Uyunglele.
He was
Like I
supposed to
don't
be
have
like-
any faith in him. It's like, welcome back to the ACC where you underachieved before and now you're underachieving again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I think
there's a lot of memes and things about that he, can't throw the ball down the field. He can't push the ball down the field. He's okay throwing those 10-yard and under routes, but
yeah,
anything.
Dink and Duncan.
Yeah, I saw a meme where it said, DJ, you ought to get a job.
Yep. Now Georgia Tech thinks they're world beater. Like they think their fan base thinks. Like, we're getting to make the playoffs. I think that like the argument is there, but it's a long season. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely started the season off strong. Let's just see if they can ride the momentum in the next week.
That's it.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see how this impacts these teams over the next like 2 to 3 weeks. It's a lot of hype. It's a long travel. Like everything's working against them after week 1.
Yeah, Georgia Tech plays Saturday. That's what the coach said. Like in the comments, well, gotta play Saturday, so like I don't really have time.
Yeah. So I will be interested to see how that goes. Other games included Montana State scoring 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to beat New Mexico. New Mexico, as the underdog in this game and hosting this game against Montana State, paid Montana State $360,000 to play this game and lose.
The wheels fell off of New Mexico. I mean, they look great in the whole first half. I watched the first half and I was like, well, all right. And then I turned back. I played the game of NCAA and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I turned that game off and put on one of the high school games that ESPN was airing. And I was like, wait a minute, Montana State came back and won that game?
Yeah, the wheels fell off.
Yeah, but I still won money.
Yeah.
Jim, you'll get this. I saw a thing that was like, oh, well, FCS Northwest is 1-0.
That's always been a thing in NCAA football. That's funny. All right, another action. We had SMU beating Nevada 29-24. It was a prime time 8:00 kick.
Yeah, this one I didn't really watch much.
No, I tell you what, it was hard to see, at least on YouTube TV, it was hard to find the games.
SMU, that one was on CBS Sports Network, which may not be a YouTube.
It is. It was just hard to find it, and then by the time I did find it, I was like, nah, I don't want to watch this. Not worth my effort.
Yeah. And Hawaii wins the nightcap, and by nightcap we mean a midnight Sunday kick, 35-14 over Delaware State.
Doesn't cover though.
No, they were up. They were like 35-point favorites.
39, I think.
Well, yeah, I knew it was a big number. So, was that all the games?
That was all of them, all the ones that were substantial.
Yeah, there were other like FCS games on, but these were
Yeah.
the ones that the average fan would have known about.
Don't care about those. Which brings us to this week in college football, as Alex and I will be traveling to Morgantown as Penn State travels to WVU, an 8.5-point favorite over the Mountaineers. Alex, how are you feeling going into this week, and how are you preparing for the weekend that will be?
I am cautiously optimistic that this will be a fun, good game. As long as WVU doesn't get blown out, it's like a win-win. Like I don't go into this game expecting that WVU will win. I would love for WVU to win. I think that they actually have a chance that they could pull off an upset. But I'm a realistic person.
Can I take over?
State.
I'm gonna take
What?
over. I'm taking over.
No,
You
Jim,
can't take
stop.
over while I'm speaking.
I'm gonna ask questions.
Remember this whenever we try
Please
to talk
do.
about Ohio State.
Please do. I want to ask questions, Alex. Alex,
Jim Rome, hit the mute button.
win-win.
Yes.
If they don't get blown out, that's a
If
win.
we cover, I would say that was a good start to our season,
Where's the other win when you say win-win?
winning the game.
But you said if you don't get blown out, it's a win-win.
Yeah, like if we keep it within 10 points, I'd say, hey, that was a good showing. We had a
Okay.
big dog come into our house. We're not expected to win this game. We held our own and stayed pretty close to the spread. I'll take that. If we
Cool.
lose by 25 points, I'm going to say that sucks. That's like not good.
Okay. My next question. What is staying close to the spread? Like 8.5 points. If it's
That's why I said if we lose by like 10 points.
10 points. Okay. Next question. If you win, how screwed up are you going to be?
Well, we'll just have to play that by ear.
How many
Honestly, if we win, I want to hang out for a little bit and experience the environment of what would be post huge victory in Morgantown. But I don't think I want to be hammered because I think like
Your safety?
well, yeah, but I also want to like take it in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like I don't like to get really drunk at concerts because I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna pay a couple $100 to go see this band I want to see, I don't want to be blacked out and not remember seeing it.
Gotcha.
If I go see a band I don't like very much or don't care about, and I'm just going with my friends, those are the ones that'll get you.
Do you believe in the Pat McAfee hype? Like, what does it do to your fan base? What does it do to your team? What does it do to you?
I love it because he's such a big figure and he's hyping up WVU. So
But
for
like,
me,
does it
it's exciting.
rile the energy?
Yeah, it does. It gets everyone hyped up. It's the same thing as like any area where the big figure comes and like really pumps you up. Like if Nick Saban, I mean, this is Alabama's always pumped up, but use the example. Say he was down there now that he's retired and he starts hyping up at Alabama. Like they're gonna get excited, and like he even brought up like how he was like kind of talking down on him because he's like, you don't want to come in expecting to win. Like I want people to say we're not very good. Like I want to put a chip on these guys' shoulders and let them know, like, can you do this without me? Like that probably hypes them up. And I feel like the opposite for us because we're not always Alabama quality, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone like be like, "This is your year, guys. Like you got this." Like, yeah, it hypes you up.
Okay. One last question.
Okay.
Pat McAfee comes to Ohio State, does his thing. It's exciting, but like, it's almost bothersome for Ohio State fans. It's like, one, you're shutting down a street. Two, like, you're taking away from tradition. Like, cool, you're here, but like, don't jinx it. Pat McAfee comes to Morgantown.
Oh, he's going down Friday, and
Right.
it will be raucous, and it will be like to me. Whenever I talk about like a Thursday night game in Morgantown and how like that has like a special,
That's where I'm going.
This
Will this
like I think Pat
be?
McAfee being there will be the same thing. It's going to amplify that mount. Like
Will this drag the Thursday energy to Saturday?
I really think like it will.
Okay, so then I'm going to go to Muff now. Muff, 8.5 point spread. Are you calling a cover? Are you? Where do you land?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it cover because it opened at like 10.5, 11.
Okay.
There's been movement and nobody's been able to provide any good reasons why it's moved like 2.5 points. So I think there is a hype. I think there may be some WU faithful that are putting maybe some bigger bets on there with this breaking the line down.
Okay.
So I would say a 10 is a good line. 8.5 I think is definitely easily coverable.
If Penn State wins by 3, are you feeling like Are
No.
you hitting the?
No, this is not Columbus. The sky does not fall when you win an opener.
Again, I'm just comparing. WU beats Penn State. Degree of panic as a Penn State fan, not a Muff fan, like not Muff, but as a Penn State fan in your fan base, what is the level of panic?
It's high. In a 1 to 10 scale, they're at 8 or 9.
And you would be at a
5.
Okay. All right. If WU wins, you realize that Alex becomes your responsibility?
First off, I think Alex is my responsibility anyway because I'm Alex's ride.
But I mean, like,
first and foremost.
Like, you might have to keep him off.
I mean, Alex and I are going to be with Baltimore Guru Keith and others, so
you have enough liability on your hands.
There's others that are going to be in the mix. So I think 6, 7 sets of eyes can make sure Alex doesn't do anything too terrible.
Are you truly wearing Penn State colors?
Yes.
into Morgan.
I'll be wearing a Penn State jersey and a hat. And it'll be 90 degrees out with a chance of rain.
Okay. All right. That's my questions for this game. I'm excited for your experience. I expect pictures.
Well, I will already tell you, number one, they won't come from me.
Alex, you're gonna have to take lots of
Okay,
pictures of
I will
Muff.
take pictures.
Alex, you're going to take Muff's phone and go live on the Sports Stuff Jim and Muff account.
Oh my god, if you went live.
We'll see how that goes.
It can be tough inside a stadium to get
Yeah,
good
I was gonna
reception.
say if I don't
No,
have,
I mean before you walk in.
oh, we could take a picture. We'll take a picture before we start tailgating.
Yeah,
We'll need it, yeah, you need a before and after so we can see how drunk Alex is.
we're gonna be starting 8-ish o'clock.
In the morning?
Yes.
No, at night, Jim, after the game.
I mean, there
Well,
may
the
be some
morning
revelry
time,
the
yeah.
night before as well.
Can't
Yeah,
send
you
it
guys need to
out.
call off work on Friday and go to see McAfee.
I can't do that. Done.
I know.
Already
I
been
already
discussed.
tried. I'm already off work and I already tried.
Sorry, guys. Not the first week.
Muff,
I-
I'm already going to the Masters in the
what if
spring.
you
I
came
can't
down
make
with
it.
an illness?
Yeah, and then I wind up on a live feed in Morgantown with
Oh,
Pat
I would
McAfee show.
love it. Could you imagine? Like
I should have like a
Everybody
Connor
likes it.
Stallions like get up on.
everyone at West Liberty is like watching Pat McAfee in Morgantown. All of a sudden, like their drunk business professor is saying, you would have so much respect from all the students.
Respect or misplaced admiration. One
yes,
of the two.
Yes. All right, well, I'm excited for you guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Other games of note this upcoming week in college football. Clemson travels to Georgia as a 13.5-point underdog.
I'm feeling Clemson. This preview for the betting show. I'm playing with fire here.
Okay. High State hosts Akron.
Win by 45. Or bust.
The U travels to the Swamp to take on Florida and their 449-pound defensive lineman Desmond Watson.
My question is, somebody that big in that heat, like what preparations are we doing for that big fella?
IVs.
Like right there, ready to go. Come off the field, I'm sticking you. Like maybe enough tape, like you can. Alex, can I play with an IV in?
That's
Is it like
I mean,
Ozempic?
yeah,
Can you like put a thing on you?
Can you? Yes. I mean, is it advised? Probably get ripped
Like, this
out.
man's
You
450
game plan for
pounds.
How do you practice for that? It's like, all right, guys, we're going to go up against Florida this week, and you got to go against the biggest defensive tackle in the country or the NFL.
I don't know.
Good luck moving him.
Ugh.
I've got to imagine his snap count is no more than like 2 snaps in a row, though.
How are you gonna get him off the field quick enough?
That's a good question.
I don't know. He had a scoop and almost scored last year.
I don't know. Alert! This game's in the Swamp, Jim. Early game in the Swamp. Remember that.
I hear you.
Texas A&M hosts Notre Dame. Aggies 3-point favorites.
Feel
Also,
good
our
about-
game day will be on Saturday.
Real idiots. Okay.
It's an SEC, Jim,
Well, that's why I don't watch
and Notre Dame.
whatever.
You've got all
Whatever.
the answers you need right there. And USC hosts LSU. USC is a 4.5-point dog, home dog.
Gonna get walked.
USC will.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've already got some hints to the betting show this week, which is going to come out on Thursday.
Get pumped.
Nate, are you going to be participating in the betting show this year?
If I'm available, which this week I will not be.
It's tough to come in midstream, buddy.
He can throw.
You can be a guest. You can be a guest here and there. That'll
That's
work.
what I was gonna say. We could keep like
Yeah.
our records will be consistent. Nate can come in when he can come in and
It's
give
gonna
us.
be
I'd
like
say
the-
we got
It's
some-
going to be the guest picker. That's what it is.
We
I
got
love
some
it.
people that want in too.
What?
Our betting show.
No, they're not allowed in.
I'm telling you that. We got some people that want to come be guest pickers.
Okay, we can have guest pickers. We can have regular.
No,
Right.
no, they're not. No. Mm-mm. We got some people that want to come say hello.
Okay, we can handle hellos.
Yeah.
All right. Other football news of note: Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy came out and told his players to stop asking for more money and wait until December. Ironically enough, shortly after, the school then shared that they will have QR codes on their helmets It's going to link to their collective donation site. How do we feel about what Gundy said and then the QR code on the helmet coming out?
I want to hear from
What?
but I want to hear from Alex first.
Okay, so I have this feeling that Mike Gundy has been getting badgered about this QR code thing for a while now, and I'm wondering if someone said something and then it was like icing on the cake for him to make the initial statement, like quit talking about money, we're done. And then they're like, well, if we're done talking about it, we'll just let it happen. And it happened. I'm wondering if all of this is actually linked together some way. Mike Gundy, I heard him talk about the QR codes on the helmet, and he he's like, I guess they're gonna have QR codes like in local bars and stuff where a lot of people go to watch the games. So, and I like what he said. There's basically one big one. So like it goes in and then it can be divided from the players, but then there's also like gonna be obviously individual as well, because they were talking about like what about like the offensive line? Like how is that fair? They can have an awesome game that literally the only reason they won was because they protected the quarterback so well. But people watching TV aren't going to know that, and then you're like quarterbacks getting all this money, and the guys in the trenches are going to like be like fuck you because you got all this money and I didn't. But I guess there's going to be like one big team one. I still think it's like kind of stupid, but whatever.
Ohio
Like
State
if
did
you
it
want to
last
support
year.
your team, donate. Like there's a Mountaineer Athletic, thing. If I
Collective.
really want to donate money, go through that. Donate the money. I don't understand the like just giving people. It feels like throwing tips like for a performance. Like
That's what this is. This is Rome. We're
but that's what I
coded
mean.
into.
And I don't like that. Like to me, like sports and competition is different than like some guy who gets paid a flat rate and then is up there like playing his guitar and he does a good job and I think he's doing good. I tip him. Okay, like but he's there performing. Like
That's what they're doing.
yeah, they are, but they're competing. I don't know. I don't like it.
That's a fuzzy line, buddy.
That's fine.
That's what this is basically gladiators, and we're throwing our roses instead of roses. We're throwing dollars.
I don't like it. But I do support what he said. There's a time like the cutoffs now. Like there is no more
I agree
negotiation.
with that.
There's no reason to talk about it. Focus on the football. When it opens, he's like, when it opens back up, I can't stop him from talking about it.
Yeah.
But right now it's closed. We worry about football, not money, and I like
I
that.
agree.
But I also feel like by putting the QR codes, now you've brought money back into the conversation.
I think it shows his team or the team is showing him where their priorities lie.
Yep.
It does get maybe some more fan buy-in, like the regular fan that's sitting at home that wouldn't think about donating to these collectives. Like, somebody's going to give like $50, right? I think that gives them a little bit more investment into the situation, even though somebody's donating $50 has zero say in where that money's going to go in the end. I still think it's like betting, right? Oh my God, I'm going to donate $50 to the collective. And when they bring in the highly touted recruit or they bring in somebody from the transfer portal, like, oh yeah, I helped do that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this initiative works out for them.
I really want to see OnlyFans sales during the fall versus collective sales. Like
all these guys are like, sweet, I have all this extra cash. I don't know what I'm doing with it.
I'm not going to send it to OnlyFans anymore. I want that running back in Bama to do well.
Oh, I was thinking around all these young college guys that now have disposable income to be able to use it on stupid stuff like OnlyFans accounts. It'll balance out.
What if there was one player on each team that was assigned, like all teams did this QR code. There's one player on each team that was assigned this random ass OnlyFans account that people got linked to. And it was like Pokemon. You had to find it and catch them.
I'll say, what if someone messed with someone else's QR code on their back of their helmet?
Also, would be amazing. Yep. I hope it happens, and I hope we hear about it right away.
Alex, you need to put a QR code on the back of your work badge and take you to bushlight.com.
Yeah, that's what I should do. I'm gonna have to talk to my badge maker about if we can get one just put right on it.
We need shirts with QR codes. That's basically what I'm hearing.
You can design them, but I'm only gonna wear it after I test the QR code.
That's fair.
That would be funny.
I will not blindly trust you designing a shirt with QR code. In other football news, Kirk Ferentz of Iowa has been suspended for the first game of the Hawkeyes season for a violation of the recruitment of current starting quarterback Cade McNamara, who was with the Michigan Wolverines last season. Do we think the Kirk Ferentz suspension is the path of least resistance for Iowa? just to accept it and move on?
Yes.
Or do we think there may be more to come, or there was more behind the situation?
If they do this to him, and Michigan still gets to play unabashed with no issues, I'm saying. Silence, good.
I was wondering if anybody else had any thoughts on this before I chimed in.
Go for it. I think it's whatever.
Yeah, again, this involved a player, right, Jim? And
I
that's
don't give a
why
shit about your bullshit reasoning. Go pound
this
sand.
it's I think it's consistent reasoning, so bullshit if you want to say, but it's consistent reasoning.
Don't care.
Okay. Jamar Chase returned to practice over the weekend for the Bengals amid a contract dispute. Chase has 2 years left on his current deal, but is obviously trying to lock up an extension and a new contract early, especially with the track record of the Bengals and not paying players, with the obvious exception of Joe Burrow. Do we think that this is going to help Chase in the end, or is this just going to be a standoff?
The contract fight or coming to practice? What are you asking?
Yes.
I think the contract, like putting the bug in Cincinnati's ear, helps. I think coming to practice and ultimately saying, like, all right, I'm going to play, but remember, I did this. Probably going to do this to you next year. Like, I'm not messing around. I think his approach with Cincinnati, like any other team, I'd be like, nah, he's being a dick. But this team, yeah, that was the right move.
Remember, this is the team that T. Higgins was trying to get a new contract done. He's got 1 year left, and did they franchise him,
I think so. I think so.
or did they? Is he playing out of contract? I forget. But you know they didn't get much. So I feel like Jamar Chase, in addition to himself, may also be standing up a little bit for T. Higgins, hoping that maybe they can get this taken care of. And my thought is, Jamar Chase trying to get this contract done early can only help T. Higgins because then it's known what they're working with under that cap.
Yep.
So I thought this was Jamar Chase trying to figure himself out and also maybe helping one of his buddies in the wide receiver room. But
Cincinnati's a weird organization, man.
Cincinnati's not going to do it. I mean, I think we all know that.
Yeah.
The Washington Commanders
Bum 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 bum.
traded wide receiver Jahan Dotson and a 5th-round pick to the Eagles for a 3rd-round pick and multiple 7th-round picks. This is a new start for Dotson. Do we think this is a quality addition or a quality trade for the Eagles?
I mean, he hasn't done jack shit since he's been in the league, so
Yeah,
no.
I think it's a fresh start for Dotson. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything, but this is a last minute trade that there must have been some unrest for Dotson and others in Washington.
Scary Terry will likely be seeing a few more targets. Fantasy talk.
Do you have Terry McLaurin, Alex?
Yes.
Okay.
For this reason.
For this reason.
That's why I bought in.
All right. The NFL announced multiple suspensions related to the personal conduct policy last week. There were multiple. I saw these flowing across all day. 2 that I picked out were Cardinals wide receiver Zay Jones getting 5 games and Rams offensive lineman Alaric Jackson getting 2 games. Anybody see any larger suspensions or any other more notable?
Nothing.
I have not. I just keep seeing people were like, so everybody else is getting suspended except for what's his name for the Chiefs?
Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if that's still in still an investigation. I don't know where that is, like the whole judicial proceedings. But I mean, they can put those down at any point in the year if things come to be. So TBD. The Cowboys cornerback Deron Bland will be out 6 to 8 weeks after having surgery to repair a stress fracture in his foot. It's a blow to the Cowboys. Coaches find different ways to do different things in their off seasons and or after they're out of a job or blending into retirement. Pete Carroll has decided to return to USC as a teacher.
Yeah, I didn't see exactly what he was teaching, but hopefully he's long gone, Jesus. Lincoln Riley invites him to some practices or something. Don't be surprised if we see Pete Carroll strolling the sidelines in practice.
I don't think he's allowed, is he?
He can
says
be on
no?
the sidelines. Doesn't mean he may not be able to be an official part of the team, but I think he could probably get on the sideline.
Yeah, you can move the sideline pass.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting workaround.
Yes, yes, it would be. I don't think he's allowed to probably be at practices or anything, but Mike Greenberg is replacing Sam Ponder on NFL Sunday Countdown.
Fuck him.
Is there anyone else who would have liked to see do this?
Fuck Mike Greenberg. I officially put him on the list with Kevin. Fuck him.
Why?
He screwed the Golics. He weaseled his way into that show. And now he's kicked Sam Ponder out of NFL Sunday Countdown.
I don't think
This
he
man
kicks.
is
I don't
a
think he
virus.
kicks Sam Ponder out.
He probably whispered in somebody's ear, fuck Greenberg. That's how I feel. I hate Greenberg. I hated him then. I hate him now. Fuck him.
Other thoughts?
I mean, I don't know why they had to make the change anyway. I mean, it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right. Because Greenberg wanted it.
I mean, that's speculation. Who would you have rather seen if Sam Ponder is gone? Who else would you have wanted to see it there, Jim?
Anybody but Greenberg.
And okay, you have no other thoughts on people, just
No.
not him.
That made me
What,
so
what if
mad.
it was Stephen A. Smith?
Sure.
What?
Sure.
Don't be dramatic.
I mean,
I don't want Greenberg.
Isn't Colin Coward looking for a job right now?
I'd take Skip.
Skip's looking for a job, not Colin. Skip's looking for a job.
I'd take
What about
Skip
Shannon
over
Sharp?
Greenberg. I'd take Shannon Sharp.
You got to remember, this is the host. This is not the personality.
Yep. Don't care.
Okay.
Say one guy I know not as a host, but because that's the main question you had. But I would like to see Mark Schlereth be involved more.
I agree. He's pretty funny when they get into some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of funny, Sunday Ticket continues to have similarity. Apple offered their app option for $679.99 with an add-on for the NFL Red Zone for $739.99. That is
Why is this
hundreds
thing
of
a crock?
dollars. Hundreds of dollars. Not because, Jim, don't you recall that there was the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit?
Yeah, but this sticks with you. Like they're gonna screw us. They're trying to screw us.
I just want to make sure that we are aware that this continues to be screwed.
That we keep getting screwed.
Nate, didn't you see something that had like what it would add up to if you picked all of the streaming services to get this type of access?
Yeah, I don't remember how much it was, but then that class action kind of got tossed out the window, right?
The appeal was in favor of the NFL, but there's still other appeal options.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not done. It's like the pendulum keeps swinging. So we will find
But
out.
yeah, when I saw that
Keep
sticker
track
price
of
for
this,
NFL
yeah.
Sunday Ticket, I just laughed.
Yes, I laughed as well. All right, Jim, all you, buddy.
The Big 12 is in talks with UConn to join the league in all sports. ESPN confirmed that on Friday. Alex, how do you feel about that?
It's the show. The show goes on.
What?
I mean, it goes back to what I said about like the sports part. I hate whenever sports gets taken away and it turns into like this entertainment, this like big news, like headlines, all this. I don't know. Like, how do you just ban someone from asking football questions? Why?
You've moved on. I'm talking about UConn and Big 12.
Oh, you said the school on Friday.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
the
what
Big
you're
12
I
wants to
think-
add UConn.
Oh,
You're not
that's
even
fine,
paying
yeah.
attention.
Who was paying attention? Nothing wanted my opinion on freaking.
No, do you think the Big 12 out of UConn is good or bad?
I'm fine with that.
Good for
I like
basketball.
WWE's play.
You don't think it devalues the Big 12 at all?
It adds to their basketball situation.
Yeah.
Like
But in
tremendously.
every other sport, well,
No,
in
not every
football,
other
do you think it like
UConn's bad, but
Gives them a presence in the Northeast if that's what they're going for.
there was a time where UConn wasn't as terrible as they are now. And because we used to play in the Big East with WVU, and there were years that, they were competitive. They've been down lately, but like Muff said, you look at it from a basketball standpoint and other sports, then you're like, okay, like it would add value to the Big 12.
Yeah, get Dan Hurley in the Big 12.
Yeah, the UConn women's basketball team. Like
Them
UConn
too.
men's basketball.
you're adding overall value with UConn, I think.
okay? All right. Lastly, well, not lastly.
I mean, the Big Ten has Vanderbilt. Or,
Colorado.
the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Rutgers, but like Rutgers has winning records in football. Anyway, Colorado banned Denver Post columnist Sean Keeler from asking questions of football coach Deion Sanders, and or other members of the football program. How do you guys feel about Colorado banning sport?
What are the reasons?
I've never got to that.
That's what I was. Well, the order of the notes says that this was the next topic. Just
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
know.
I wanted to jump right in and make sure I got you. So, what do you? I never got the basics. I think he doesn't like any of that bull junk.
I need that information to understand why he's no longer allowed to ask questions, because there are columnists at different outlets that ask just absolutely bogus and baloney questions all the time. And if you're just saying, listen, we've told you we're not going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
They're citing sustained personal attacks on the program, specifically Coach Prime, the
What are
athletic
these
department.
sustained attacks?
That's what I mean.
Right. This should be like, I think in Alex's view, this is like kind of a win. It's like, okay, Dion's saying, I don't want to talk about me. This is not me personally. I want to talk about. I want to talk about our football program, and I want to talk about our team.
Now,
But
this guy has
This
called
says or other members of the football program.
this
So,
guy
like,
has called Sanders Bruce Lee of BS, a false prophet,
I like this guy.
using phrases such as Planet Prime, Dion Kool-Aid. But like, what's wrong with that?
If you're gonna do stuff like this, you have to be willing. If you're gonna put
Right,
out,
like
if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Quit being a figurehead unless you want people to come at you, because not everyone's gonna be like, "All hail King Dion." Some people are gonna be like, "No, I'm calling you on your shit," and you have to be able to take it if you're gonna keep dealing out the shit.
yeah, I hate talking, agreeing with the guy on the porch.
He can still write all of those things. He just can't ask questions. Like, there's nothing stopping him from writing what he's writing right now. He's just not able to ask questions at these press conferences.
That's chicken shit.
Say it loud to people in the back.
That's why I want to know what types of questions he was asking.
They didn't have an issue with it. Didn't like what he was writing. Didn't like his comments and his personal attacks and the way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then why you can't ask questions? I understand that's like the punishment. You can't be in here and you can't ask questions. But I mean, all he has to do is feed a question to somebody or have somebody else from the Denver Post come in.
There's a workaround, but like, I think I don't see Ryan Day ever. That's the difference. Ryan Day or Nick Saban or any of those guys, they weren't going to be like, nope, no more of that guy. Like,
well, it's tough, when you're winning. You don't get as much of that.
I think the point still stands, Muff, that the guy's ego is very fragile.
Can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
I just want more. I just want more understanding. I'm not saying that this is a bogus thing. I'm just curious what types of questions, and I would want to read more. I understand you gave me some highlights, but I just want to know more. That's all.
Lastly, Justin Herbert for the Chargers and 10 others were stuck in an elevator. Coach Harbaugh's response was, "You get in those situations, and it's a test of wills." I was proud of each of the guys and the two women that were in the elevator. That's a win. You feel good about yourself. You were challenged. It's a test of will, and you pull it down and you pull it in.
Do you think he was just like being dumbass? Like, what do you want me to say?
I mean, I don't know, but like, even if he was being a dumbass,
like his answer is kind of funny. Like, they got stuck in an elevator. Like, what do you want me to do about it?
How long were they stuck in said elevator?
I think 2 hours.
I mean, just pee in a corner, claim it, and move on. Haven't you watched The Office? Step 1, claim your corner.
I don't know how many people were in there.
Well, at least 2 guys and 2 women, and you had.
No, right. Well, Jim's note says Herbert and 10 others, so that'd be 11.
Oh, there we go. There's the 11 people
and 10 others. I didn't see that. I saw the few guys, and
I think they were over the weight limit.
Yeah,
that's why it stopped. Maybe
brought this on themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Could you
that's
imagine if you had to like go to the bathroom really bad and that happened? You're just standing there in this like elevator full of people. Like you can go without having a drink, or if you're hungry, you can get over that. Like, say you were like, oh my gosh, as soon as I get off this elevator, I gotta go.
That would be bad.
interesting. Could be interesting. All right, we'll have some other tidbits in the football world after our breakdown of the NFC South, the division that Nate hopes will have a specific outcome. Last year's standings had the Bucks atop the division at 9-8, the Saints also at 9-8, the Falcons at 7-10, and the Panthers 2-15 in Bryce Young's rookie season. Nate, go ahead and take away the Bucks breakdown.
So the Bucks lost Shaquille Barrett, who ended up retiring after he signed a 1-year contract with the Dolphins. The biggest blow for them, I think, is Ryan Jensen, who didn't play last year at center, but just losing his leadership on the team, I think, is really going to hurt. Cornerback Quandre Mosley, and they also lost cornerback Jamel Dean, who they traded to Detroit for what reason, I don't know, and linebacker Devin White. Key additions this year, they replaced the cornerback situation with cornerback Bryce Hall, bringing a new guard, Sua Aptia, another corner, Taviri Thomas, and they bring back safety Jordan Whitehead, who was a member of the team when they won the Super Bowl. Draft picks of note this year, center Graham Barton, who's going to be the starting center this season, as well as edge Chris Braswell from Alabama and safety Tyke Smith by way of Georgia, who was formerly of Alex's WVU. Mm-hmm. And another draft pick of note I want to throw in there, who won the wide receiver 3 job, is wide receiver Jalen McMillan from Washington.
Okay.
To go along with other players of note, overrated quarterback Baker Mayfield, Mr. 1,000 yards per season Mike Evans and his pal Chris Godwin, the highest paid left tackle in the league Tristan Wirfs. On the D line, we have Kalaje Cansey and Vita Vea, as well as Antoine Winfield Jr. on the back end.
Something, Nate, that I was looking at the depth chart and I did not realize that he was competing for a starting job. But was it Cody Mouch was it South Dakota State or North Dakota State last year? One of the
I think he was fighting to get a start at guard, right guard maybe.
He is number 1 on the depth chart. And I thought that was funny because everybody doesn't remember, this is the guy that had like one of the highlight mugs of the draft. He came in as a tight end, Nate.
I think
in college.
In college as a tight end, and they moved him to the O-line.
Mm-hmm. And just continued to like beef up, gained like 60, 70 pounds throughout his 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
His headshot had like no front teeth, just one of the gems. So I found that cool. Nate, what is your overall impression of the Bucks going into this year?
I think for me, it's the same thing that I get worried about every year: is how are they going to hold up defensively in the pass game? Sure, you got 2 safeties back there that can hold it down, but cornerback just seems to be their Achilles heel on defense every year. Between that and the pass rush has just been inconsistent, especially when you lose a Shaq Barrett. He was probably their leading sack getter the past couple years. So that's what they're trying to find right now in their OBs and some DNs, and they're hoping that Vita Vea can kind of push the pocket up the middle. They're hoping their second-year guy, Yaya Diaby, can step up if he stays healthy. I know he tweaked something in the preseason, but he should be fine. Offensively, I think they have too many weapons not to be able to compete.
All right. Overall positive, but the defensive side of the ball needs to step up.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the same guys that have been there a while. It's just time for some of these young guys to step up.
All right, moving on to the Saints. Key losses: Jameis Winston as a signal caller and defensive lineman Malcolm Roach. Additions: defensive lineman Chase Young, linebacker Willie Gay, and wide receiver Cedric Wilson. Joining draft picks, rounds 1 and 2, they took at number 14, Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon State, and they took Kool-Aid McKinstry, defensive back from Alabama, in round 2 to join Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Cameron Jordan, and Tyron Matthew. The Honey Badger, the Saints, go as far as open-ended question to Alex.
I don't think they're very good. I don't think I think Alvin Kamara's washed up. I think Derek Carr is washed up. Chris Olave is good, but I don't think Derek Carr is going to throw him the ball like he should. I just don't. I don't know. When I look at this, I don't see anything that gets me excited about the Saints.
Other thoughts on the Saints?
They've always seemed to be the Bucks' Achilles heel every year. They'll get him at least once, if not twice, in the regular season, even when Tom was there. But it's just like they can never seem to like really put a solid season together. Like, yeah, they were 9-8 and second in division last year, but I don't know what it is. It's just like sometimes they show up and Marshawn Lattimore will shut down the number one receiver and they'll get a big win, and then other weeks it's like they don't show up.
Yep, they are an enigma of
Well,
a team.
I don't feel like when I look at this team, I see anything exciting that's going to change it. I just see the same people getting older.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thought. Moving on to the Falcons. Key losses include tight end Jonnu Smith, cornerback Jeff Okuda, wide receiver Mac Hollins, offensive lineman Matt Hennessy, everything player Cordero Patterson, and Desmond Ritter no longer with the team because they brought in Kirk Cousins in the offseason, coming off his injury-ended season last year. They also bring in Matthew Judon most recently, the last couple weeks from the Patriots, wide receiver Ray McLeod, defensive lineman James Smith-Williams, and cornerback Antonio Hamilton, adding to their draft picks. First round, 8th pick, the surprise of last year's draft, or this year's draft, quarterback Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. Also brought in Rook Orohoro from Clemson.
I'm sorry. God bless you.
If I said that correctly, I would like kudos from somebody.
I mean, I think you did.
I have never seen that until right now.
Like, I really think you did. If I'm remembering, like, the drafts and things, I think you did a nice job. I give you kudos.
That's one that I would never expect to get right. And edge rusher Braylon Trice from Washington to join Bijan Robinson at running back, Drake London at wide receiver, Kyle Pitts at tight end, and Jake Matthews along the offensive line. The Falcons trying to do something about life right now. Do we think they can really be competitive this year?
I do. Falcons.
Yeah.
The Falcons worry me. I think they got a huge quarterback upgrade at Kirk Cousins. They have a new head coach and Raheem Morris that's been around and has all the experience in the world. They got some good young talent there. Got one of the better kickers, I think, in the league, and Young Hoku. So I think the Falcons finally can kind of turn the corner here and start to trend upward.
The Falcons will be as competitive as possible if this happens, Jim. Open-ended question.
If the quarterback play is on point and the secondary is a little tighter.
Moving on now to the Panthers, who had an absolutely abysmal season last year, the rookie season of Bryce Young. They lose linebacker Frankie Lavu, defensive lineman Retur Gross Matos, and safety Jeremy Chin. They bring in wide receiver Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh, offensive lineman Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, defensive lineman Ashawn Robinson, linebacker Josie Jewell, and cornerback Dane Jackson. In the draft, they got Xavier Legette from South Carolina, Jonathan Brooks, running back from Texas, and Trevin Wallace, linebacker from Kentucky, to join Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen, Shaq Thompson, and Jadeveon Clowney.
This gives me like Texans 3 years ago vibes. Like they have some hope there. I think they'll be
you
competitive.
can't get much worse than last year, right?
Right.
15. Tough to go down from there.
I think it'll be a good come up season.
Yeah, I think there's some, I don't want to say optimism, but there is hope that this season will show the real promise of Bryce Young.
Yeah.
At quarterback. I don't think anybody's expecting, a MVP caliber season, but I think they're expecting a lot of positive progress from last season and for them to be more competitive week to week.
Yeah.
So we will see. I think it's always good when you have a division like this that you can flip a coin. I don't think we're flipping a coin this year, but if the Panthers overperform, I think we are in a more of a coin flip situation in this division.
Yeah, there's not one of those teams that are standalone, like you say, with Kansas City, for example, in the AFC West. So it's like, oh, this team's going to probably win the division.
Yeah. All right, which brings us to our predictions. Let's start this week with Nate. Do you want to go first or last?
I'll go first.
Nate goes first.
So I think just based off the offensive talent, I think the Bucs should win this division, but it's going to be tight. I have them going at 10-7, followed closely on their heels by the Falcons, led by Cousins at 9-8. And then the Panthers go from 2-15 to 7-10, followed by the Saints at 6-11.
Right. Jim.
I have the Saints 6-11, Panthers 9-8, Bucks 10-7, Falcons 10-7.
Falcons win the division.
Yeah.
I have the Falcons also winning the division at 10-7, tied with the Bucks, who also get into the playoffs, followed by the Panthers in an upstart season at 7-10, and the Saints, as Alex has said, aging, 6-11 at the bottom of this division. Alex?
I have the Bucks at 11-6, primarily because everyone said 10-7, and I wanted to be different. I had them as 10-7 too, and I changed it. Just that's why. I don't have a better reason than that. But I do think Falcons are right on their heels, 10-7. That could be flip flopped. That's what I'll go for now. Saints at 6-11, and I think the Panthers bring up the caboose at like 4-13. I don't have much hope.
Improvement, but not much.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of excitement about that. So,
all right, that wraps up our breakdown of the NFC South. Next week is our last NFL division breakdown with the AFC North.
North.
Which brings us to other interesting news in sports.
That stuff in sports. Damn.
Has anything crossed our timelines in the WNBA?
Angel Reese, first in WNBA to have 20 consecutive rebound games.
2 consecutive 20 rebound games.
Sorry, I was stuttering. I'm stuck.
I was so waiting for somebody to bring this up because she's also shooting like 25 or 30% from the field. And I don't know how many of her rebounds are her own misses, but some of those, it's not getting any better. And I so want her skill to improve, but it's not happening. And
hey, she broke a record. Rookie breaking record.
There's a lot of controversy about not the validity, but when you're tossing up bricks like that,
she also had
it's tough.
This is her 21st double-double of the season. One shy of tying Tina Charles's most of by a rookie.
I also saw that she was like 2 of 13 from inside 5 feet on Sunday.
I don't know what's up with that. It's very odd. Like
she's averaging 12.6.
Jim, you're tossing a whole bunch of stats out there, and that's totally fine.
Misses are not good. Like they're like.
I just think we like to shit on her.
No, I am just like
that's
like
objective,
to put a full picture out there. There's a
that's
full
not
picture
shitting
out
on
there.
her. That's objective.
You can also say, and I will say this: Caitlin Clark scoring more points, has more assists, but also has a whole lot more turnovers. But that's the role you play as a point guard. If you're not on point, guess what's going to happen? Your turnovers are going to go up. Angel Reese is a post player who gets rebounds. Unfortunately, her downfall is she can't make a goddamn layup.
You asked for stuff, I gave you stuff.
And I understand. I was sitting here waiting on it because I had those ones queued up, buddy.
So it was a trap.
It was a trap. You fell for the trap.
Like, I want to talk shit on Angel Reese. Let's go.
I was just really
I was waiting for somebody to tout her so that I could put this in
context. You could talk shit on her. So it's a trap.
No, I could put it in context.
Yeah.
I have said all along, Jim, that she is an elite rebounder. But the problem that I have is, unfortunately, a lot of her rebounds come off of her own misses.
Hey, man, I get it.
That's all I have to say.
I think it's funny that I was like, do I step in this or do I just let Jim have this? And then Mo was like, splash. I was like, okay.
That's all I have, Jim.
Hey,
And
man.
I pointed out the downfalls of Caitlin Clark at the same time. So
I wasn't gonna do that.
In
So
a
there
very
you go.
backhanded way. It's cool.
how did I do it in a backhanded way?
You complimented her as you were putting it down.
Well, I also said that Angel Reese is an elite rebounder. I also complimented her.
And that is part of her job, correct? To be an elite rebounder. Like,
Part of her job is to rebound the ball, but
Not
it shouldn't be to miss more than 70% of your layup attempts after you rebound the ball. If you're that bad, you should probably be getting it back out to other players' hands that are better at putting the ball in the basket.
all right, buddy. Fair enough.
Little League World Series, boys. I think a couple people watch this.
I tried.
Oh, hell of the end to the Little League World Series today.
Yeah.
Go on.
So Little League games go 6 innings. However, this one ended up going 8. Team from Lake Mary, Florida, which is just outside of Orlando, I think, when I looked, was down 1-0 going to the bottom of the 6th and tied it in the bottom of the 6th. And then 7th inning, neither team scored. 8th inning, they used the ghost runner on second base, like the major leagues do when they go to extras.
Mhm.
So Chinese Taipei did not score in the top of the 8th. So Florida comes up in the bottom of the 8th, leadoff man, bunts down to first baseline, perfectly executed bunt. Guy gets the ball, throws to first, but nobody's there. So kid comes through all the way around from second base to score. Insert Alex.
So this happens. No one's there. It goes over. I mean, my heart broke for that kid because like it's one thing to lose. Like it's not, they're gonna lose, but like to lose and like you're that you have to remember. It's hard to remember sometimes. Like they're little kids. I mean, and the immediate response from like the Florida team was like so supportive. Like all these kids are like bros being bros. Like, hey man, like it's all right. Keep your head up. Like they're not like they celebrated for like a second and then they're like, oh, these people are really sad. And they went and like comforted all these kids that are from like a completely different country, probably barely can communicate in the same language. And they're just like, oh, like person in distress, like first step first, like check on them. And like Florida's coach, I'll give him credit. Like he went out and was literally like holding freaking the Taiwan pitcher who's sitting on the mound, like just in complete distress. I just thought it was nice. My point being was that being a jerk to people is taught, not inherited, like inherent. Like their reaction to me gave me hope in the world because it was like positive, it was good sportsmanship, it was like people being people, not like we want it in your face, haha, you suck, loser. Like they're like, oh man, that sucks. That could have happened to me too. Like, great game though. So kudos to them. I like the way they did it. I thought it was a very classy ending to the game. And it made me feel very good inside.
Good vibes, good feelings. Let's move along to the Commanders, who will be building a statue to honor Sean Taylor. It's the least they can do after their hilariously awful memorial 2 years ago. Do we recall just how bad that bust was?
I do not.
It was rivaling, if I remember right, Cristiano Ronaldo in his bust. So a proper statue will honor Sean Taylor for the Commanders. Good news for the football world. I found an interesting tidbit in baseball about Aaron Judge in his home runs lead this season. He has 49 home runs on the season, and all but 4 of them would only be a home run at Yankee Stadium.
What a surprise.
You find the player that fits your ballpark, and good things happen.
Why do you think the Pirates are so dead set on finding a fat ass left-handed first baseman?
I mean, I know why. It has never transpired as they want it to. But
Yeah.
that's your tidbit about Aaron Judge. Let's go
So
in
wait,
NASCAR.
Does that include Great American Small Park in Cincinnati?
Nate, I pulled this stat. I did not fact check it.
I believe you, but I'm just thinking, like, I know Yankee Stadium's small, but I know Cincinnati is too.
Maybe that's the only places he hit those 4 home runs.
Yeah, what I don't know is like, is it are they just saying the smallest part of Yankee Stadium allows the home runs for this, whereas others would not be? I didn't see like the home run by home run mark.
I wonder if they were comparing like angle too, like okay, it went out in center field and this
Yeah.
would have gone out center field, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
It makes a difference.
Either way, the stat was compelling. That's all
It's
I'm gonna
funny
say.
either way.
All right, let's talk about NASCAR.
So they got a flipping problem.
They got a flipping problem, or they have a flipping
They
problem.
have car flipping problem. Last weekend, Corey LaJoie spun out on his own. Nobody touched him. Down the back street of Michigan, the wreck was the first blowover incident on a non-super speedway since 2010, where Brad Keselowski flipped upside down in the older version car at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This car turned sideways, caught air, but it hit the grass. NASCAR's response was, oh shit, we're going to Daytona next week. Let's put some work on the aero package and the design of these cars. They put some plastic fins and some different wings on the car so that it couldn't happen. Well, sure as shit, it happened. If you watch the race, go ahead, Muff.
So was this driver and their team investigated for manipulating the car in the wrong way, or is this the true design flaw?
This is the problem of the car.
Okay.
Huge. If you watched the race last night, Josh Berry got turned, and the design that the engineers made, being touted by the announcers on the TV, was like, look, it worked. And what happens is the wings on the top of the car open up and it pulls a cord on the bottom of the car, which should catch more air, taking all the force off the car, and it should bring the car back down, which it did. So you don't have the barrel roll effect. Michael McDowell, however, the fins didn't open. Still flipped, and it landed on its head and spun like a top, and then slid, probably going just as fast as it would on the wheels, and hit dead on against the safer barrier. I bring all this up because this car, if you remember long ago when we talked about this, was designed so it would be more cheap, more affordable for the cars or for the car owners, and it was all supposed to be truly stock. But along the way, everybody said this thing is a death machine, and it's catching air so damn easy. It looks like micro machines are being picked up and tossed. I mean, it is disgusting how easily these things catch air.
This is just my thought. Is this just one of those things where we're never going to be able to, as NASCAR, get this fully right because we have vehicles going so fast and there's only so much you can do?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So it's that constant, take sports out of this, and I know turn left and all that. It's a constant battle between, we want to move humans going super, super fast versus engineers going, but we want to keep them safe when they do wreck. And now safety is kind of hindering itself, because the pod that the drivers are in, super safe. I mean, when the guy landed on his top and spun, they were like, look, the top of the roof didn't cave in. It's amazing. And it was like, yeah, that you're right. But he just went upside down, dead on into a wall at 200 miles an hour. So like, you got a picture, you're hanging by belts, hitting 200 miles an hour to a brick wall. It was like, and you're doing it so that it's affordable, so that everybody can own a car and do the same stupid joyride.
Mm-hmm. And
so like, it was great when we had the steel all heavy body cars because they wouldn't flip as easy, but like when they crashed, you were in a metal box of doom.
Right.
So it's this big engineering, go fast, cheap, tug and pull, and I don't know the answer, but it's really, from an engineering standpoint and scientific standpoint, amazing to watch.
That was our NASCAR talk. Where are we at in the season, Jim?
One more race till the playoff.
We'll race to the
Playoffs.
playoffs. Playoffs are coming. All right. Anything else to chat about, gents?
No, I think that hits most of it all.
All right. That wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Remember, catch the betting episode, Sports Stuff, Betting Stuff, this Thursday, where we'll talk about all of the college football games. Yeah, that's all we're talking about, college football this week. You hear our takes, our thoughts, and the best bets, along with the specialty picks, which I think need to be renamed this year at some
We
point.
agreed on a couple of them being renamed. One stays the same.
TBD, more to come. Make sure that as you drive, ride, walk into this college football season, you're ready to go. You come in with your best bets on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Share it with your friends, but make sure, most importantly, that you tell a friend, make a friend, be a
Friend.